friends, and welcome back to Ration Nerd. It is absolutely awesome of you guys to take some of your time out of your busy day to spend with me, and I'm a total goofball, doing this crazy ass hobby. Today, I have a lot of fun planned. Hey everybody, it is Future Ration Nerd talking about Past Ration Nerd again. Sorry that I missed you guys last week. It has been enormously crazy busy in my life. Sorry, but YouTube doesn't pay the bills, but I just want to say I'm sorry for not getting a video out to you guys last week. It was just insanely busy. My apologies. Love you guys. Thank you for being here for the video. Now back to Past Ration Nerd, because he was having a hell of a lot of fun that day. I remember I was there. And a whole lot of calorie intake going on. That is, if this stuff is still edible. What we have here are brand new production Ukrainian National Guard rations. So we're going to do an entire day of Ukrainian National Guard rations. We have breakfast, we have lunch, we have dinner, and I have a willing and able palate and stomach to do my best to put down all three of these rations. And if you want to put it down, you know what you could do for this guy? You could totally hit that like button and hit that subscribe button, and then talk to me in the chat. It is always a great time to hear from you guys. I really appreciate it when you take the time to talk to me. And since this is going to be an extremely long video, I'm going to get all the bullshit out of the way in the front end of this. If you really want to help support this channel, there's a couple ways you can do it. You can always hit the like, you can always hit the subscribe. You can become a member here on YouTube, but a much more valuable way to help support me getting these crazy rations to bring to you is to join my Patreon page. If you join my Patreon page at the $5 tier, you will be automatically enrolled for the monthly ration giveaway. This month we are going to be giving away this Indonesian single meal ration. This is a Naraga Plus. This was very interesting, and if you are a $5 tier member of my Patreon page, you will be automatically enrolled to get a chance to win this. Just ask the last two people that won rations from me. I mail these out to you because that's what I do, because I love my Patreon members, because they're really helping to keep this channel rolling. So with all that nonsense out of the way, this is the next ration giveaway ration, this Naraga Plus. And if you really want some really cool shit to wear and or help pimp the channel, there's always Ration Nerd merch. I would greatly appreciate it if you guys would pick up a hat or a coffee cup or something cool like that. At any rate, we've got a lot to do, so let's crack into this. Fortunately for me, I have a shit ton of yard work that needs to be done. It's never ending around here. How we're going to do this is we're going to do the unboxing at each meal, because it just seems like it's the only really good way to do it. If I unbox everything, it's going to get all mixed up on the table. So we're just going to start out with breakfast and roll into it. So let's move dinner and lunch the hell out of the way. But before I do move them out of the way, apparently for breakfast you get to do field exercises, for lunch you get to tow broken tanks, and for dinner you get to shoot rocket launchers. That sounds like a pretty cool day to me, minus the towing of broken vehicles. That's kind of lame. But doing field exercises and shooting rocket launchers, completely pitching. Anyway, let's get lunch and dinner out of the way. So let's get cracking on breakfast. Breakfast is extremely light. I will do what I can to put all pertinent weight and calorie informations up at either the beginning or the end of the video. But here we have a contents list. Actually, it's not even a contents list. It just goes through and weighs off the items. This ration has 1,095 calories. Not a bad way to start your day. So let's crack in and see what we get for breakfast if we're in the Ukrainian National Guard. All right, let's see what's on the breakfast menu. Well, actually, that's a kind of bitchin' spoon. That's not bad at all. That looks like a big Swiss spoon. Maybe that's a Swiss spoon. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe they outsource some of this. Maybe they're switching it up, getting away from the crappy silverware. And, well, hell, we're going to save this because you could use this all day. That's a big-ass face bucket right there. That's like eat 'em up quick. And it looks like we have our main attraction here. And we have beans and chicken with vegetables for breakfast. That ought to make a nice musical ass for lunchtime. That's tons of fun. Beans and chicken with vegetables. Not exactly what I would pick for breakfast, but you know, I didn't make this ration, so. And this is a 350 gram main. Not starting it out bad for breakfast. At least they're filling your belly. What else do we have in here? Dun, 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 dun. Oh, we have a contents sheet. You know how I feel about those guys. And we have a big-ass pack of crackers. I have had these before in another Ukrainian ration. These are like hardtack biscuits. These aren't going to be a ton of fun, but they're going to go good with breakfast. So we have 50 grams of hardtack biscuits. Hey, look at that. We have some Gusto Classico coffee. Dig it. 2 grams. That's pretty epic. Coffee is always good. You gotta have the goddamn coffee, especially in the morning. It doesn't look like I got any cream or sugar, but I'm not gonna bitch too much because at least I got the coffee. Then we have a napkin for your probably not butt wiping pleasure. This is, that's definitely a good face wiping napkin. I certainly wouldn't want to try to wipe my ass with it, but you know, it beats the shit out of nothing. Hey, there we go. Now we have a moist towelette. Now we're getting closer to a butt wipe right here. Not too shabby. A little moist towelette action. Then we have 10 grams of sugar. Not too bad. And that actually feels like a good 10 grams of sugar. And then we have a little pack of pepper. And that is it for breakfast. I'm going to go put this on the boil because there's nothing in the ration to help me heat it up. So I'm going to boil this main, and I'm going to get some hot ass water for that coffee, and then I'll be right back. That's fucking stupid. Alright, we're back with that breakfast. Hope you enjoyed the musical interlude, but we've got that beans and veggies action going on, and we're going to get this coffee made up. I'm pretty happy I even got some coffee. A little butthurt I didn't get the trifecta, but you know what? I'll take coffee and sugar over no coffee any day. So at least I got 2 out of the 3. Let's give that a sniff. That doesn't smell too bad, to be fair. That's a nice freeze-dried crystal going on in there. I'm dropping pieces of it. That's fucking coffee sacrilege right there. But let's go ahead and get that in the coffee cup. We can get some of it in the face so I can get rid of these rented lips I'm rocking this morning. And we're going to start the morning off right where I pour some blistering hot water on my pants. That's always a good time. That shit will wake you up in the morning, let me tell you. So let's hydrate this coffee action. It's looking pretty decent, not too bad. I hope it's a really good cup of coffee considering there's no cream for that guy. The blisters are real, so let's go ahead and stir this coffee up. Get this nice and mixed up. We're going to give it a little taste without any sugar in it whatsoever so we can give it its little day in court here. That is a pretty big, crazy spoon. I'm actually kind of liking it. A little face bucket action is never bad. Let's give this coffee a little sniff and a little sip. It smells kind of weak. Smells like a light roast, but that's okay. Let's give it a taste. Yeah, it's a bit of a light roast coffee. It's not bad, to be fair. It is a freeze-dried coffee. It doesn't taste like a spray-dried, which is really nice. I don't think I'm going to put all 10 grams of sugar in there because that would just be like drinking hot sugar water at that point. I'm not sure why you'd bother putting 10 grams of sugar in there. Give me 5 grams of sugar and then give me some fucking creamer. All right, we'll save the rest of that diabetes for later in case we need it. Get that sugar all stirred up in the coffee. It's making me happy just thinking about drinking this fucking cup of coffee in the morning so I can get rid of these rented lips and talk like a normal human. That doesn't make a whole lot of great noise. Really gotta smack the shit out of that motherfucker to get some noise out of it. Let's try that with some sugar in there. Definitely much better with the sugar. Would be even more epic with some cream. You know I'm not going to stop harping on that, so if you're bitching about it, just deal or click off. There's only 2 ways to go about it. You either deal, well I guess there's 3 ways. You got 3 options. You either like the coffee rant, or you hate the coffee rant, or you really don't care. So if you like the coffee rant, or you don't really care, you stay. If you don't like the coffee rant, see you later. Anyway, so let's check out this beans and veggies with chicken. That is nice and hot. We boiled that for about 10 minutes as you, whoa, that's very light looking. Just kind of came rolling out of there, not too bad. And it's, it's a little on the stinky side. Kind of smells like a big, nasty bean fart. That's never wholesome. So, what we've got here, we've got the makings for a really gassy day of yard work. That's kind of cool. I'm going to be outside a lot, so that's a great thing that I'm going to be outside. So that does look like some processed chicken, but we will have to get in there and put our eyeballs on it. This is pretty simple fare. We've got beans. We've got some carrots. We've got some darker beans rolling around that are either a different type of bean or just burnt, one way or the other. Almost feel like I see a little bit of onion floating around in here, but it's really tiny. So this is definitely very simple. Nice fat content though, I do have to say that. Being a 350 gram main, this is more than I would ever normally eat for breakfast, but I guess if you're doing field operations, like it shows on the bag, you're going to need this food, you're going to need these calories. I'm going to go ahead and call it ahead of time. This is going to need every bit of pepper they sent out with this, unless I'm a retard and it's salt. Yep, I'm retarded. It's salt. I thought it was pepper. That kind of sucks. We're just going to go ahead and salt it down. Like I said, I haven't had my coffee yet, so anything I say cannot be used against me in a court of law because I was not properly caffeinated before we started this little fucking adventure together. So, ration Nazis and all those ration Nazis out there that are going to tell me, oh, that's not a Ukrainian National Guard ration. Bullshit. I actually have a Ukrainian that's kind of on staff. Maybe not on staff, but I have a Ukrainian that is a good friend of mine that verified that this is the newest iteration of the Ukrainian National Guard ration. It doesn't get much better than that. I actually have somebody that lives in the fucking country that helped me out identifying these to make sure they were legit. So if you're one of the ration Nazis and you think you know more than I do, you probably do, but you can still shut the fuck up. All right, let's get this salt. This spoon is fucking ridiculous. It's great. Like, you can eat from really far away. Like, you know, you can like pick at your peas from way across the plate. That's awesome. Let's get this all nice and mixed up. See what beans and chickens and vegetable. It says vegetables as in plural, but I only see one vegetable in here. So we have beans, vegetable, and chicken. That is not exactly what I would choose for breakfast, or probably most Americans would not choose something like this for breakfast, but hey, it is what it is. First thing we're going to do, we're going to get a big old mouthful of this beans and veggies and bring it up to you guys so you can see what the lavish lifestyle of the Ukrainian National Guard is. So there you go. There is a big spoonful of that nice, hot, nasty mess. I don't know. I say it's hot and nasty only because I wouldn't normally eat beans for breakfast, but let's get into it before I start passing judgment. Could be one of the most amazing things I've ever stuffed in this face. Probably not, but we're going to roll with it. And that actually has a really good taste to it. I take the nasty part back altogether. I really think that these beans were cooked with some kind of pork because it has that particular flavor profile to it. I know I completely forgot about those biscuits because they're plain as hell and I'm just kind of putting them off. Let's get a bite of that chicken to see if that's processed or that's just some naturally retort pouch cooked chicken. That's definitely processed, like pre-canned style chicken. It's okay. It's not bad. It's not the worst processed chicken I've ever had. I can say that this face bucket spoon they've got going on here, it has a little bit of a sharp edge around the side, and it really forces you to open up your face nice and wide to get that bucket in there. It's kind of weird. It's not very user-friendly. Almost kind of find myself just like dozer tipping it into my mouth and hoping most of it falls off. Not the best spoon ever, but certainly not the worst Eastern European spoon I've ever seen. It'll certainly work, and if you need to fit a whole lot of food into your face at one time, like that enormous ass bite we're getting ready to knock back in ye old jughead, well, you can certainly do it. You can eat fast. You might not be able to get everything out of the bottom of the spoon, but you can certainly shovel a hell of a lot of food into your head all at one time. I really wish they would have put some pepper in here. The salt really tuned the flavor up. Didn't even need to taste it without the salt. I've had dishes like this from Ukraine before, and they always needed the salt and pepper. Really wish they would have put a pack of pepper in this breakfast ration. It would have been a whole lot better with some pepper. These beans definitely have a little bit of that I was cooked with pork flavor, which I'm completely okay with. These are actually pretty damn good. Not a great choice for breakfast in my opinion, but if you need a hell of a lot of energy and you want to fart all over your fellow platoon mates, this is absolutely the breakfast for you. It's going to make you gassy. It's going to fill you full of energy. It's certainly going to fill your belly. You're not going to be hungry after eating 350 grams of beans and chicken. Let's break into this 50-gram pack of these really bland-ass biscuits. When I first saw these, the first time I got these out of a Ukrainian ration, I was really excited because they bear a striking resemblance to my favorite ration biscuit on the planet, which are the Polish Panzer waffles. Those things are absolutely amazing. Same thing over in Lithuanian rations, or at least the old ones. You get those thick Panzer waffle crackers. Love those things. These are not those guys at all. These are essentially just big, thick, hardtack crackers that are pretty damn plain. As you can hear them crashing into the tray, but I'm dropping shit all over the place. So check that out. Definitely a well-toasted piece of hardtack, if nothing else. Very hard, very dense. Not super hard to break. Let's see what that's like on the old teeth. Oh, that's nice and stale. That packaging sucks. So that is, it's definitely been infiltrated by some air. These aren't even hard anymore. They're super soft. Given the production date of this ration, I really wouldn't expect that. Shit happens. That is a very plain, hardtack cracker. Almost, aside from like the toasted flour taste or that toasted cracker taste, they don't taste like much at all. Certainly a big calorie boost for your breakfast. It's doing absolutely nothing for you in the flavor department. And quite frankly, with them not being crunchy, you're not even getting like a big texture boost for this beans and chicken. I would have figured you would have gotten a pack of honey or something to help put those hardtack biscuits down. You chew one of those by itself, especially a large piece of it, it literally just kind of like saps all the moisture out of your mouth. It makes it hard to talk. Those are lots of fun. The sarcasm is real, but I guess since we have them, and we're going to be doing lots of hard, we're going to be doing lots of hard, laborious yard work today. I mean, we are going to be doing some yard work. I don't know if it's going to be labor intensive enough to justify all these calories I'm going to be sucking down today, but let's get in here, get our daily morning dose of 1,000, almost 1,100 calories, and fuck that hardtack up. They really missed their opportunity to, at the very least, give you that really nice texture balance between the really soft beans and chicken and the hardtack. These things are just really soft, kind of mushy. Not the greatest hardtack biscuit ever. I really think the packaging kills them most of all. At least that seems to be the case with the Russian biscuits. That packaging kind of sucks, and well, these hardtack biscuits really reflect that. This is definitely like hearty, down-home food. This would have been a much better lunch or dinner item as far as I'm concerned, but for breakfast, this is a belly filler. Really, seriously, 350 grams. If there's any more beans in this ration, I might literally float away. The gas is going to be severe. And we're wearing it. We always gotta wear something, goddammit. I just wish I had some pepper. I really wish this was a lunch item. It's gonna be fun, like farting my way through the hours between breakfast and lunch. That would be great. Can't forget those super yummy hardtack biscuits. That's sarcasm, by the way, in case anybody doesn't know what the hell sarcasm is. I'm a little spicy this morning, so, sorry guys, if you're easily offended. I don't know what you're doing here anyway, but my bad. This might be simple. It might be basic, but you know what it really is filling as hell. It's a lot of food this early in the morning, at least it is for me. That is a big ass main to have, 350 grams of something that's really calorie dense like this. And to add insult to injury, you get a bunch of, soft tack biscuits, because those certainly aren't hard in any way, shape, or form. You're certainly not going to be hungry in between breakfast and lunch unless you're just rucking like a boss. I mean, these biscuits are definitely good to shovel the main in your face, although it comes with its own shovel, so you really don't need to shovel anything. I just wish these were a bit crunchier. A little bit of a breakup in texture would certainly have made this more interesting. God, between the beans and the soft tack crackers, it's like glue in my mouth shut. I can barely speak. That is definitely much better. That coffee is pretty decent, all things considered. I made a good 8 or 9 ounce portion of it, so it certainly held up to that. I could have made it much smaller if I wanted it exceptionally strong, but an 8 or 9 ounce portion was certainly pretty good with this coffee. Not bad at all, just need some cream. Yes, I'm going to keep harping on it. Now let's finish off this breakfast so I can get to work and we can see what the hell is for lunch. And let's get all of it because we're going to need it. And there it is, ladies and gentlemen. That is the last bite of our Ukrainian National Guard breakfast. The whole thing in one big ass bite. I don't know if we're knocking back this whole biscuit, but we're going to give it hell. Your bite? Your breakfast bite? It's just a bit? No. Okay, fine. In the face. The paste is real. More coffee is indicated, but that is all right. That was a pretty decent cup of coffee. This was basic and simple and pretty decent. And this is a goddamn that's a big spoon. And whose brilliant idea was it to have beans for breakfast spoon drop? And while we're at it, let's grab this moist towelette, clean up our little dirty diggies, and see what this moist towelette is all about. That is actually not a bad quality moist towelette. Let's see, does it smell like a Ukrainian grandma? Just a little bit. It has a little bit of a floral perfumey kind of smell. That's okay. Not completely horrible. And it's a little bit of a thin towel, or small, but it is pretty stretchy. Maybe you could make a fuse out of this or something. I'm not really sure. Not a bad moist towelette, if I must say so myself. Dinner napkin, I suppose we could blot at the corners of our filthy face. And that's exactly what that is. That is a face napkin, or a dinner or breakfast napkin, I suppose. Not the biggest, thickest, or craziest napkin I've ever seen, but also certainly not the worst. Well, my friends, that was breakfast. Before I go away from this table, we're going to get lunch out here, and we're going to figure out what I'm having for lunch. So I either have something to look forward to, or something not so much to look forward to. But we'll check it out. Let me get this shit out of the way, and we'll get lunch up here, unbox lunch, and see what lunch is all about. All right, so here we go with lunch, where we go from field maneuvers to, well, dragging broken tanks around. It's always a good time when you're in the military, I suppose. So let's see what we have in this guy. Let's see, what's our calorie count on this one? Now, this ration says it has 1,519 calories in it. That brings us up to a pretty decent total for the day so far already. Not too bad. What's on the lunch menu for the Ration Nerd Nation today? All right. We have some more of those soft tack biscuits. I'm not really excited about them. That's okay. 50 grams of rip-roaring soft tack biscuit carbohydrate action on the table for your viewing pleasure. Hey, we have some of those classic Ukrainian, like, big-ass croutons. These things are teeth breakers for sure. That is kind of neat. So we have some big ass pieces of, well, stale ass bread in a really thin wrapper. I guess not too shabby. We'll have to wait to see what the taste profile on these is, and if we're going to break our teeth on them, or if we have a great main to stick them in so they can soak up all that, well, juicy main goodness, I suppose. We have some big ass croutons. Then we have some classic black tea. Not bad. Mixing it up a little bit from the coffee. Coffee is amazing, but a good cup of tea is a good cup of tea. Oh, we have another one of those face buckets. I'm going to have a bunch of these in the collection. That's pretty awesome. Another big ass face bucket. I guess maybe they've switched out the style of spoons they use in Ukraine now. That's actually kind of good and kind of bad all at the same time, because that's a honking crazy face bucket with a little bit of sharp edge on the side, like almost like you could slice somebody's throat with that son of a bitch, or the corners of your mouth. You choose, completely up to you. Face bucket on the table. And we have another contents sheet. And this is another 350 gram main. This is beef, potatoes, and sweet peppers. Actually sounds pretty amazing. I'm absolutely looking forward to getting in this guy. At least it doesn't have beans in it, because, well, we need more beans like we need a hole in the head. That's pretty cool. 350 grams of beef, potatoes, and sweet peppers. Looking forward to that guy. Then we have a slightly sticky, possibly leaking container of cherry jam. Pretty awesome. It's not apple, so I'm absolutely crazy excited about it. And coming in at 50 grams, this ought to be a good time. Little cherry jam action. I'm absolutely looking forward to it. Then we have that napkin for your face. Then we have another 10-gram pack of diabetes. That's definitely going to pair up nice with the tea and, like, my future insulin dependence. Then we have a really large 500-gram portion of buckwheat soup with pork meat. So buckwheat soup. I've not had buckwheat soup to the best of my knowledge. You know what? Between the buckwheat and the beans, I am certainly going to turn into a hot air balloon and float away. But holy shit, 850 grams of food just in these two retort pouches. That is absolutely insane. This is like the fucking lunch of champions right here. Again, it might not be complicated, it might not be flashy, it might not be fancy, but son of a bitch, they are filling your belly on this. I'm definitely going to have to work my ass off before I sit down to this crazy tray of food. Then we've got that dirty dick beater cleaner. Always nice to have one of those. Keep your dick beaters off the food. And look, this time we have salt and pepper. Last time, I really thought it was pepper. I was wrong, but we do have both this time, which is a good thing, because we have two mains. Probably should have put 2 packs of each in here, but this is cool that we get salt and pepper. Well, my friends, this is everything contained in the lunch menu of our Ukrainian National Guard ration. So I will be back in a few hours to heat this up and eat it up. And that was completely fucking unintentional. I should probably, like, do shit off the cuff more often. Anyway, see you guys in a few hours. All right, my friends, we are back from the yard. It is totally lunchtime, and I'm kind of hot and nasty, so this is an enormous meal to try to have for lunch. 850 grams of food is going to be absolutely batshit crazy. Actually, am I wrong? Do I math much? Do you math much, Mr. Ration Nerd? 500, 350 is 850, so yeah, I math a little bit. This is a lot of food to try to fit on one tray at any given time, and these, as you would know, have been boiled furiously. You can see that by the steamy contents down there. But we are going to use a bowl for the soup. We have that bowl that just won't fit in this tray no matter what I do. Maybe it'll just sit on the corner like that. We'll move that crusty ass bread out of the way. We're going to get the soup in the bowl, and then we'll put the other main on the tray. In the meantime, we have to make up this tea, which One gripe I have with Ukrainian rations is a lack of cold drink mixes. The reason why I gripe about that is out in the field, where there are a whole lot of Ukrainians right now, fresh potable water, I'm sure, is an issue. So if you're going to have to chemically treat water, you're going to want something to make it taste less like shit. So they really should be putting some cold drink mixes in here, but that was not to be. We have some nice hot tea, which quite honestly, I'm not looking forward to that much, but I'm going to give it hell. Let's get a sniff of that. And that actually smells pretty good. That is a black tea, and it smells really nice, aromatic. Ought to be pretty good. And since it looks like I'm not going to get an opportunity to say it in this video, and I like to say it every time because I think this is probably one of the most important things you can do for yourself in your life, hydrate, bitches. Drink some water, drink lots of it. It's really good for you. Let's get some water in this tea and make some nice hot tea on this hot, sweaty day of yard work. Whew, what the fuck was I thinking? All right, let's give that a steep. Should I sing a song? I probably should, but I probably shouldn't at the same time. Get your steep on. Get your steep on. All right, that's the last time I'm doing that. We are, however, going to make a nice sweet. You know what? I probably have about 5 grams of sugar left over from breakfast, so we're just going to go ahead and use that. And throw that 5 grams of diabetes in there. Ha, I love the diabetes. You love the diabetes. We all love the diabetes. Now, let's get this big-ass honking portion of soup out on the tray. Which one's my soup? This big 500-gram crazy big-ass retort pouch of soupiness. Man, let's take a look at that inside the pouch. Ooh, that's really wet and soupy in there. Check that out. Glug, glug, glug. As I pour it down my face, that would have been horrible. That really smells excellent, though. It smells kind of like, it smells like stewed pork, but it has a really savory, amazing smell to it. Let's get this out into the bowl. Oh, it looks like, it doesn't look very good coming out of the bag. I'll have to admit that. Ooh, well, this is certainly a very hydrating portion of soup. There's a huge water content in that, which is a good thing, but you still need cold drinks, goddammit. Now let's check out this beef with vegetables, peppers. I'm really looking forward to trying this. That whole word sweet peppers just got me all randy. That actually smells fucking amazing. Wait a minute. Let me get another sniff of that. Didn't like my nose break when I was outside? Oh shit, that smells great. Oh man, let's get this out. Oh, let's puke this out onto the tray. That was fun. Okay, so it's a little soupier than I thought it would be, but man, that is a decent portion of beef and potatoes. That looks really nice. I'm going to attempt to go back to doing yard work after this, but after 850 grams of food, who knows what condition I'm going to be in. That shit's got to get done, so I'm just going to have to suffer through it, but I am going to be 850 plus grams heavier when I go back to it. That ought to be fun. Let's check out these big, crusty-ass pieces of bread, or enormous croutons, whatever you want to call them. So these guys are just a little hard. And as you would expect, very light and airy, like a crouton. So this is basically some really stale-ass bread. Look at that. And then you get some even more stale-ass bread, because I can't imagine. I'm hoping that these hardtack biscuits are better than the ones I had for breakfast. I'm not very hopeful, though. So let's see, did these get soft and mushy like the last batch? Let's check them out. First thing we'll do, we'll get a little bite of this big-ass crouton. Check that out. Wow, okay, that is an extraordinarily stale piece of bread, and you got to be careful with your teeth, or you might break some. Softening that up in the soup is absolutely the way to go. If you don't soften it up in the soup, you will probably bust some teeth. So let's check out these hardtack crackers and hope that these aren't all soft and mushy like the breakfast hardtack. And that's much more like a traditional hardtack. It's actually still crunchy, pretty flavorless, but actually crunchy this time. So, with the Ukrainian hardtack, be careful, because it could trick you. If you planned on your lunchtime hardtack being exactly like your breakfast hardtack, you'd have been wrong. You'd have fucked up a tooth. That would have been bad. Same exact flavor profile as the hardtack we had for breakfast. Plain, probably really belly filling, and holy shit, this is a lot of food. Like between all these biscuits, the stale ass bread, and 850 grams of mains. Wow, just absolutely wow. Bloop. All right, let's get this tea stirred up because we got to get that diabetes thoroughly mixed up with the tea. All right, and before we crack into these mains, we're definitely going to check out this jam because I'm dying to. I need to know what's in this cute little pack. Hopefully some really yummy, damn, all right, packaging, some really yummy cherry jam. At least I'm hoping so. That is a big difference from the apple jam you usually find in like Russian and even Ukrainian rations. So I'm pretty happy to get a little different fruit action going on here. That's awesome. So we do have a partial biscuit here. So let's throw some of that jam on there as I block the view with my big ham hands the entire time. So that's a pretty plain hardtack cracker. So I'm gonna go ahead and kind of load that up with some jam. Let's see what that cherry jam is bringing to the lunch plate. I'm happy to have it, totally happy to have it. If the crackers were a little tastier, it'd probably be pretty epic. But let's give this cherry jam its day in court. Now, I don't think that's correct. I think that that cracker is robbing that jam of a whole lot of flavor because it's really underwhelming on that cracker. I'm gonna put a little bit of this jam directly on the spoon and see what that's rocking without that big dusty cracker in my mouth. Now, that cherry jam is not bad, but I'm gonna call it exactly the way it is. It's a little underwhelming. It's sweet. It has a nice cherry flavor, not particularly unnatural cherry flavor and not particularly natural. It's kind of somewhere in the middle. It's not overly sweet. It has no tartness to it to speak of. It's just okay. Very underwhelming. Not what I expected, to be fair. It's kind of okay. It certainly is a nice departure from just like the apple paste or the honey. So I guess we need to start with this big, crazy, honking, hot bowl of soup. So let's slide this guy out of the way here real quick and focus on this soup for a second. So let's see what this a pork soup is all about. So what do we have in here? Looks like we have some rice. We have carrots. There's definitely some potatoes floating around in there. Not too shabby. There is some pork. It's kind of ground up and very minced. That's all right, though. That is definitely a big hunk of onion flake, though. That's pretty epic. So let's get a big swish around this guy. Get a little bit of pork, a little bit of rice. There's an onion flake in there. That ought to be good. Some potato. And let's drip this on my face so I can bring it to you. Let's try not to drip it on my face, damn it. So let's bring that up there so you can see what we're working with. Not much to look at. Hopefully the flavor is a whole lot better than the sight of it, but let's give that a go. And that's good. It has a really high fat content, which is absolutely nothing wrong with that. I probably won't be able to move by the time I finish this meal. It's going to be pretty ridiculous. The pork has a really nice savory flavor. I know this really could use a little bit of salt and pepper, so I'm going to go ahead and put a little salt and pepper in this guy. I'm going to try to split it between the two meals, which is kind of a bummer. With this much food, 850 grams, you'd figure they'd give you just a little bit more in the salt and pepper department, but hey, it is what it is. All right, we'll go ahead and get that mixed in. This soup is pretty much a winner, to be fair. It's a little boring. There could be more going on here, but it's going to be very hydrating, extremely filling. I have a feeling if I let this sit and get cold, it would completely film over. This has an extraordinarily high fat content. It leaves that greasy feeling on the inside of your mouth. The only thing that's great about that is it's going to be really filling. Like, you are not going to be hungry by the time this is over with. Let's try that little hunk of hardtack biscuit in there. I might as well just get a bib, because me and soup at this table is just a recipe for, well, disaster, really. I should just really get a bib. Maybe I should start selling those on the merch store, like get a Ration Nerd bib or something. Fuck it, I don't know. That salt and pepper absolutely helped out. We're going to try some of these big-ass crouton pieces in there, or stale bread. I'm calling them croutons just to try to make them sound a little bit more fun, a little bit more interesting. But if it takes me, with these enormous mittens of mine, that much effort to break a piece of bread, you know this shit is really hard. Like, this stuff is no joke. Absolutely. Like, you could probably use this as a throwing weapon. Like, enemies coming over the trench lip, whoop-ap, right in the face. Get him in the eye with your crouton, and you could take that motherfucker prisoner because he won't be able to see you anymore. You get him in both eyes, it might be like a violation of the Geneva Convention because now he's fucking blind, and you did it with croutons. That's going to be an epic story to tell your grandchildren. All right, let's get those croutons soaking away in there so we can have a whole bunch of, well, essentially wet stale bread in our soup. But honestly, this stuff is actually really good. I know that I'm going to be so full, I'm not going to be able to stand myself after this meal. This shit I don't do for you guys, but this is going to be extraordinarily filling, if I can even finish it. Speaking of finish it, let me shut up and get to eating some of this. And those croutons really do just kind of turn to mush in there. I don't know what they expected, but they definitely get really mushy in there. If you catch them early enough, they are still just a little bit chewy in that weird, like, I don't know, wet crouton kind of way. But this is definitely the only way to eat these big stale pieces of bread, is to soak them up in the soup. That does help you to eat the soup a little faster because you're not sucking down as much broth because it's being sucked up by some of these big stale ass bread hunks. This is a really good soup. It could just use a little bit more seasoning and definitely a couple more different types of vegetables, or maybe make the vegetables a lot more pronounced. I'm almost partially full just from eating like about half of that soup. That is an amazing ration item, to be fair. Very basic, but very absolutely filling. I just think the execution could be a little better. Like, these sorry ass hardtack crackers are kind of pitiful. The croutons, maybe that's a cultural thing that I just don't really get. I like croutons on salad and I don't want them stale enough that I can break my teeth on them. But as an add to the soup, they're kind of okay. The soup itself has a really excellent base flavor. It's almost like that soup is the base for an absolutely off the hook, amazing bowl of soup. They just didn't finish it. Now let's move on to this beef, potatoes, sweet peppers, and vegetables. This stuff, I'm actually really interested in this. The beef looks like a mixture of minced and just soft cook or slow cooked beef. We do have what looks like a pepper piece, but it certainly says there are sweet peppers in here. So we have a bunch of potatoes. What else is floating around in here? Anything good? I don't know. Looks like there might be some minced carrot in here somewhere, and maybe some little baby pieces of onion. That's probably what I'm seeing. Really nice fat content. Like, look around the edges there. This meal is going to absolutely fuel the body and keep a soldier from being hungry. Maybe it might be a little bit on the boring side, but damn, you are not going to be hungry at the end of this. So let's grab a tater or two, or 3 or 4, and some of that beef. And let's bring all this up to your dirty little eyeballs so you can pass judgment on this. So check out that beef and sweet peppers, vegetables, whatever this stuff is supposed to be. It looks kind of good. It absolutely smells amazing. So let's throw this back in the face hole and see what this is bringing to lunch. Holy shit, that's salty. I am so glad that I did not put any salt in that. That has an insanely high salt content. Wow. I mean, just absolutely wow. It has a really nice background flavor of a vegetable that tastes absolutely nothing like sweet pepper, to be 100% honest. You can taste the beef, which is really soft. It just kind of melts away in your mouth. You don't even realize it's there. The only thing with any texture is the potato. That is insanely salty. And I know for a fact I didn't put any salt on this. I just put salt in the soup. Holy shit, Batman. You could use this as a soup starter and probably have enough salt for, I don't know, a decent sized pot of soup. That's crazy salty. And that has an extraordinarily high fat content. Same greasy mouth feeling as that soup has. Maybe they're really just trying to fill you up at lunchtime. I know a lot of European countries eat much larger meals at lunch. In America, we tend to have our larger meal at dinner time. But damn, like literally half of that bowl of soup and a few bites into this, and I'm ready to call it quits and go back out in the yard. But I've got a ration to eat. God damn it, this wasn't a cheap adventure, so it's going to be, well, it's going to be an adventure. Whether I'm happy with myself afterwards or not, that's definitely a whole different story. We'll see once I go back out in the heat. If this all decides to stay down, that ought to be interesting. Down the hatch. That is so salty. Holy shit. That'll put the electrolytes right back in you. Yes, that's the pepper. Okay, so we're going to pepper this just to try to offset some of the salty flavor. Holy shit, this is salty. But I'm glad I saved some pepper. I am not going to touch this at all with the salt. I don't even want to put salt anywhere near it. I mean, it's really good. It has a really nice, wholesome flavor. It's almost like there's an overbearing taste of celery, which isn't the best. It has a really interesting flavor. It's novel to me, so I don't mind it too much. Potatoes actually have a decent bit of texture, as you could see. I can actually spear one on the end of this big face bucket spork. So they're not completely cooked away to nothing. They are very soft though. The beef, it's almost like it doesn't exist. When you put it in your mouth, it just kind of dissolves. It really is like an excessive amount of celery salt was added to this, and that's like the predominant flavor I'm picking out of here. I really wish there was some hot sauce or something in this ration to help break up that celery salt flavor. Really good though. I think it would have been 100% better if they wouldn't have put so much damn celery salt in here. That's kind of crazy. Still really interesting, extraordinarily filling. Holy shit. So maybe I can break up some of this saltiness by putting some like hardtack dust in here. It is extraordinarily salty, and I really need to break that up if I'm going to try to eat all 3 of these rations. Look at this. I'm like just grinding them against each other to get some like hardtack dust on there. That's not working. So I'm just going to try to break those up the best I can. Maybe break up that salty flavor a little bit. And I mean, they certainly give you a whole lot of like crackers and stale bread with this meal. So no harm, no foul. Those two ought to be just enough for whatever cherry jam I have left for my little lunchtime dessert, which is epic. Like, who needs dessert at lunch? I do when I'm sitting at the ration table. That's who. You would have to be an extraordinarily active person to be able to eat like this on anything like a regular basis. If you were stationary for long periods of time as a soldier, and this is what was being issued to you to eat, if you were stationary for a long period of time, I have a feeling you just wouldn't want to eat this much in a day, and you'd have lots of leftovers. Like, you'd have 500-gram soup packs laying around everywhere because you were just tired of it. Speaking of that soup, before it goes and gets cold on me, look at that. It's kind of turned into like a soup porridge at this point, between like all the croutons I stuffed in there, soaking up some of that soup juice. That's actually kind of good. Check it out. You know you want some pork soup porridge. Your bite? Absolutely your bite, goddammit. Alright, in the face. And I added salt to this. It's nowhere near as salty as that crazy beef stuff. And that soup really does have an excellent home-cooked natural pork flavor. Like I said, a few more vegetables and some decent seasoning in here, this would probably be one of the better bowls of soup I've ever had. As it stands, this is like a starter bowl of soup. Like, this is the bowl you start with when you're going to make a pot of soup. You put this in there as a soup starter. It's absolutely amazing, though. Really good, down-home, earthy flavor. Absolutely awesome. That is the kind of soup stock that you would get if, like, your grandmother was boiling a whole bunch of like pork bones and pork meat and just slow cooking it all day over the stove, and you get that bone marrow. So it's like a mixture of marrow and meat broth. That's absolutely really amazing. It's got a great taste to it. The more I eat of it, the more it grows on me. This salty shit, however, I don't know. Let's see if those hunks of hardtack did anything that helped break up the saltiness in here. Probably not. Whew. Ukrainian grandma had a really heavy hand with the celery salt. And that's a nice big old piece of beef in there. Check that out. Not too bad. Really salty, crazy salty. If it wasn't for that crazy high salt content, this would actually be really good main. But it being so salty, it's just kind of off-putting at this point. I'm just over the halfway mark of this meal, and I'm really fading out pretty fast. My stomach is full. Let's forge on and see if we can do this. Why? I don't know, just because it's fun. Christ, I hope I remember to hit the record button. I should probably get up and check that. Thank God, because I would have been really pissed if I would have wasted this ration and have eaten myself into being this full for absolutely nothing. Well, other than my own entertainment, which is, well, one of the reasons why I do this channel, just to entertain myself. As you can see, I perfectly enjoy talking to myself on a regular basis. I'm actually talking to you, but you're not here, so how does that work? Am I talking to me? Am I talking to you? I'm talking to us. That's my new explanation. I'm talking to us. Like, this is probably one of the saltiest items I've ever had in any ration. It's absolutely crazy. It's saltier than, like, fucking eating straight beef jerky. Wow. That's like my phrase for the day. Holy shit. I think I've said it about 20 times. You know, you could always rewind, and every time I say holy shit, you take a shot, and you'll be hammered before the breakfast is over. It ought to be great. Whew. I mean, wow. The saltiness is making it even harder. That's why I haven't gone back to the soup yet. I'm just trying to get this down and out of the way. I want to eat like a Ukrainian National Guardsman today. Whew. And this is a salty ass main. It's insane. That was so salty, I forgot to give you guys the last bite look. Sorry about that, but that is so crazy salty. It's not even funny. We're gonna get back to this kind of like pork pudding I've made over here. You know what? This pork pudding, actually, stale bread and everything, is absolutely amazing. This is really good. This might be simple, this might be basic, but what it is, absolutely down home, like home cooking kind of flavor. Like, grandma needs to add a few more vegetables to the garden and some more spices to the spice cabinet, but otherwise, grandma's wrecking it with this soup. Oh my goodness. That pork is so good. And I actually really kind of like the way that all this stale bread has sucked up the soup, and really it just tastes like the soup now, which is pretty awesome. Still has a little bit of chewy bits here and there, but at least you can get it in your face without breaking a tooth. I am, however, getting ready to open up a cut on my goddamn lip, because the edges of this spoon are pretty sharp, like ridiculously sharp. Can I get some sandpaper? Like, can you make a spoon that I'm not going to slice my face open with? Jesus. I've kind of reduced myself to like opening up my big face hatch really wide and just kind of dumping the food off of the spoon into my face hole, because it's actually really hard to get this in your mouth, get the food off of it without fucking your lips up on this thing. Good on you for having a better spoon than the Russians. Like, for reals, this really is a better spoon than the Russians have. But clean it up a little bit. Like, do a little bit of post-care on this son of a bitch. It's like spoon violence. It's absolutely ridiculous. So let me just shovel this back in my head. I have a feeling that this was a really bad idea to do for lunch. Like, I'm trying to eat it the way that they would eat it, so this is the lunch portion, but damn, I would have much rather done this at the end of the day than right in the middle. I'm gonna be fucking worthless after this. I am totally gonna die. Oh, one day. Maybe not today, but damn. That is a lot of food, everybody. That is absolutely insane. 850 grams of food in one sitting is batshit bonkers. 850 just between the retort pouches. Then you have another 50 grams of those sorry-ass crackers and another 25-ish grams of, well, stale-ass bread that I stuck in the soup. I haven't even tasted the tea yet. I've been so busy just trying to figure out if I can fit all this in my face. So here is the last bite of that yummy-ass pork soup. Not too shabby. I'm not really sure if this is actually going to fit. We're going to try to cram it in there. Giggle, giggle. That's what he said. And then she said it. And then he said it again. And, well, we all say it. Oh my God. I'm trying to be energetic right now about this whole spoon drop thing, but to be quite honest with you, I'm feeling a little rough at this point. I am way over full, so this is a holy shit Ukraine knows how to feed a soldier spoon drop, minus the crazy amount of celery salt that was in that beef main. Otherwise, holy shit Ukraine. All right, now I guess we should give this tea its day in court, and I'm actually kind of glad it's had some time to lose some temperature, because the last thing I really want right now, it's kind of hot and tacky out here in Ration Nerdville today. The last thing I want is a hot-ass cup of tea right now, but we're going to get in it anyway. That's actually a really good black tea. I'm a little sad it's not colder outside. Well, mainly because I fucking hate summer. But I'm also sad that it's not cold outside, because that would be extraordinarily enjoyable. If it was chilly outside and you needed something to warm you up, that is a really high quality, honestly, black tea. Really nice tannic acid level. I happen to like that. I like my coffee a little bitter too. That's actually a really high quality black tea. Pretty surprising. That's a really good glass of tea. Let's see how much cherry jam it takes to make this biscuit taste good. I'm not sure there's enough of this cherry jam to make even a single one of these biscuits actually taste good. So you know what? Let's just put it all on there, because this biscuit needs absolutely all the help it can possibly fucking get. So one last time, let's give this biscuit and jam its second day in court. This is like its appeal. I don't think it's going to win, but we're going to give it its appeal anyway. And there's really not much hope for that hardtack. It's pretty bad. The cherry jam is a little underwhelming. That's okay though. It's kind of decent. I like it. Not everything needs to be sweet. Not everything needs to be spectacular or crazy, but considering how plain and kind of nasty these crackers are, they really should have stepped up their jam game just a little bit. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. Well, my friends, that was lunch. I think I'm going to take myself off into a corner somewhere and cry for a little while. Maybe I'll be able to get back to work in the yard. No, that's actual bullshit. I'm totally getting back to work in the yard. I'm never going to feel any better if I don't try to walk this off or work this off. That is a crazy amount of food. I don't care how active or how hungry you are. This is pretty much going to make anybody feel sick. Hi, how you doing? I'm feeling kind of rough right now, but that's okay. That's what we do here. We try to eat the rations as they're intended, unless I'm just in a fucking mood. So you never know what you're going to get. Today, I'm trying to eat this exactly the way the Ukrainians intended to eat it. I'm not fucking with the rest of that hardtack biscuit. That's where I draw the line. Literally, the line has been drawn right at the bottom of my esophagus. Like, that's where everything is sitting. That's why you don't see me sipping on any more tea. I'm going to have to let that settle down a little bit, but I will see you guys back here in 3 or 4, or maybe I'll have a really late dinner, maybe 5 hours, and then we'll get into that last meal of the day, which is going to be eating dinner like a Ukrainian National Guardsman. I will see you guys after the yard work is finished and when it's dinner time. And after that meal, dinner time might be kind of late. Not that you'll know, because like literally in 2 seconds, I'll be like, all right, my friends, we are back. It is currently 8 p.m. I got a boo-boo on my finger. Yard work is a bitch, but it is finally, well, maybe not all completely done, but done for the day. I'm trying to be as energetic as humanly possible. My Mongolian stamps are just kind of like sagging here. Like, is there a humidity issue in the ration dungeon, or what the hell's going on? I'm not really sure. Anyway, we've got dinner. It ought to be good. I've been busting ass all day. Now, I have not been rucking with like 100 pounds of gear or anything. So, hey, military guys might see this meal and go, bitch, I need more. But for me, I'm still not actually hungry. That lunch decimated regulated my hunger response, and even after it being so late, it's 8 p.m. now, and I've already had my shower, gotten the funk off, put a band-aid on my boo-boo, cut my nails for all you weird people that are worried about how long my nails are or are not, and I'm still not really that hungry, but it's okay. We're going to crack into this dinner. We're going to have a good time together. So let's see what Mr. Rocket Launcher is bringing to dinner, because that's actually kind of a badass picture for a ration. Like, if you want to get somebody jazzed up to eat their food, maybe put a little guy with a rocket launcher on there. That might be kind of cool. Anyway, we're going to get into the rocket launcher portion, the dinner portion of this day of Ukrainian National Guard rations. So let's break into this thing. I don't really want to... There's a tear notch in the top of each one of these bags, which I think I forgot to mention. That's kind of a bad look, because at any point you could just tear that a little bit, allow air in, make those stale-ass crackers even more stale. But let's get into this ration, see what it's all about. I left my knife open so I don't get to do the cool knife click thing, but that's okay. Next time, there's always a next time. At least we hope so. So let's crack into dinner, see what we got to eat. We have another one of those big ass sporks. I can't really complain. Eastern European silverware tends to be kind of shitty and thin and, well, kind of nasty. So you have one of these big crazy spoons. These are going to be fun for the collection. Big old face bucket. And let's see what is up first. All right, we have a 20-gram pack of honey, which is pretty cool. Honey is always a great addition. I've had some honey from Ukraine before, and it was banging. Then we have another 10 grams of sugar. I need more sugar like I need a hole in the head, but we have 10 grams of that granulated diabetes for your pancreas's displeasure. And we have more of that stale-ass bread, or croutons, whatever the hell you want to call it, of the tooth destroyers. You got some hard-ass, stale-ass bread. Kind of a neat ration item, kind of not. I'm still on the fence about it, if I'm being honest. It's a little on the plain side. For just being super dried-out bread, it's great if you have something really wet to, like, kind of soak it up and turn it into some kind of weird, savory bread pudding, like it did with the soup, which actually worked out really well. But I don't think we have soup for this meal. I could be wrong. It's kind of okay. It's kind of like a cracker, kind of like a biscuit, kind of more like a really stale-ass piece of bread that you would find, like, under the kitchen cabinet. It's kind of rough. I was kind of hoping they would give us something a little bit different for dinner, but not so much. We have another 50 grams of those bland-ass, boring hardtack biscuits. You get what you get. We got biscuits. We've got honey. At least maybe the honey will make them taste better. Those biscuits are just kind of janky. They're just not great. And we have another napkin. That is always good. Wipe your face. Not wiping your butt with that. If you saved up all three, you might be able to get one good ass wipe without any poke through, but you never know. So we did get a napkin, which is nice. We have another one of those black tea bags, which is cool. This tea was actually really good, so I'm looking forward to getting into that. It's not coffee, but it's okay. And it fell out of there. We have another one of those dirty dick beater wipes. Moist towelettes. So there's that. And what is the main for dinner? And this is potatoes with pork, vegetables, and mushrooms. Doesn't sound too bad to me. That is a 350 gram portion. All the mains in this are of a really good size. Definitely filling that belly. So we have some potatoes, pork, veggies, and mushrooms action. Hopefully this isn't another salt lick. That would be kind of horrible. But I think I've got this under control. Even though I'm not super hungry, I think I can put this down. We've got another content sheet, which is pretty cool. And we have a single pack of salt. No pepper. That's kind of a bummer. And that is everything contained in the dinner portion of the ration. So this is everything contained in our dinner menu for Ukrainian National Guard ration. I am going to go get some hot water for that tea, as well as put this on the boil for a while so we can have our pork and taters and mushies all nice and hot. I'll see you guys in a couple of minutes. All right, well, we are back with a nice hot main. First thing we got to do is make up that tea, as per usual. And that didn't rip open very nicely. That is a nice foiled lime package, though. That'll keep that tea fresher longer. So let's give that a little sniff sniff. And that smells much like the tea we had earlier today, which is good for me, because that was a pretty damn good cup of tea. So we'll use the sugar that came with this particular ration. We're going to go about halfway into that 10 grams of diabetes. I don't want it to be like tooth-rotting sweet. I just want it to taste pretty damn good. And one thing I've never truly loved about Ukrainian rations is the lack of drink options. Like, kudos for having coffee and some pretty damn good tea, but give your guys some drink options. Plain old water is not a great way to convince people that don't like drinking plain water to hydrate themselves. And I'm going to be 100% honest with you, after working out in the yard all day and it being this late at night, a cup of hot tea is not really what I want. I would really prefer a cold drink, but we just don't have it. So we're going to go ahead and get our steep on. But we're going to get that steep on because that's what we do. We're going to let that tea steep a while before we get a little sip of that. I imagine it's going to taste exactly like the tea we had earlier. We'll give that sugar a little stir, get that incorporated in there. And we'll get this silliness out of the way, get these kind of just junky crackers out on the tray. We'll get them out here, see what they're all about. We know what they're all about. They're freaking hardtack crackers. They're just not the best. And some more stale-ass carbohydrates. We'll get these out on the tray, and we already know what they're about. They're really stale. They're really hard. It's stale bread. And now to the main attraction. We have that potatoes with veggies and pork. So let's get that open. I boiled this furiously as per usual. And we're going to just dump this right out onto the tray. See what we got for dinner. Let's give that... Ooh, that actually looks really good. Like, check that out. That actually looks relatively appetizing if you really get your eyeballs down in there. And that actually smells amazing. So this ought to be pretty damn good. At least I hope so, unless they gave it like the salt lick treatment like they did that other main at lunch. Oof. Oh, look at that. Ooh. That is fatty and scrumptious looking. Taters and pork. Looks like we have a bunch of seasoning in there. Some mushrooms going on. Carrots. That actually looks really good for something that just kind of splooged out of a retort pouch. Absolutely. All right, so let's just crack right into the main, because that's really what we're talking about here. We already know what these other items taste like, except for the honey. I don't think I've had Ukrainian honey in that particular package before. I could totally be wrong. I'm getting older. My memory's starting to go. Imagine that. But let's dive into this main. We have a really nice fat content, just like all of these meals have. And that is probably why I'm not particularly hungry. Now that I've smelled this main, my stomach has certainly put its ears up, kind of like a dog. Like, hey, are we going to get some of that? So that's really cool. This is actually really good looking for something that just came out of a retort sack. So we have some nice pieces of pork in here. It looks like a mix of maybe minced pork and just regular chunks o' pig, but it's definitely broken down in the retort packaging process. That is really high heat and pressure, in case you don't know, which is why retort pouch items are a lot like canned goods, just with a much weaker exterior wrapper. So it's essentially like a soft canning process, and that tends to cook meat really well, which it always amazes me when you get something out of a retort pouch and it's dry and hard and chewy. That really makes you wonder. But let's just go ahead and see if there's anything else of interest in here other than the potatoes and the carrots, the pork, and the mushrooms. Looks like the mushrooms are relatively small pieces that have just kind of like clung on to other items in here. Let's stop babbling about it and let's just get a face full of it and see what is happening. So let's try to get a little bit of everybody on this spoon here. Let's try to scoop up a carrot. I think I see some very faint outlines of some onions in there. That's always a good time. So before I stick this in my face, let me put it in your face so you can get a look at that. That's actually not looking too shabby, and it smells really good. Wish we had smell-o-vision so you guys could join in on the sniff action, but we don't. Don't worry, AI is going to fix that shit soon. That and create big metal skeleton Terminators to kill us all. But right before we get dead from the Terminators, we will be able to smell each other's YouTube videos. What a great fucking time that'll be. Imagine what Pornhub will be like with smell-o-vision. That kind of made me like curl a little bit. Anyway, let's chuck this in the face and see what this main is all about. Now that is absolutely perfectly seasoned. I would have loved some pepper to go with this, but this salt, absolutely not necessary. This main is really nice. A little bit of pepper would tune it up really well. It's got a nice salty taste without being overly salty, which is a big plus. The potatoes actually still have some consistency. They're not just super mushy. They have a little bit of a chew to them, which is really nice. This thing heated up really well in boiling water. None of these rations had ration heaters, which is kind of a bitch, but if you were to toss this in your mess cup or boil the whole package in your mess cup, this would turn out to be a really banging meal. National Guard is definitely eating pretty well. There's not a huge variety in these meals, but you know what? At least start getting a ton of calories, and some of these mains have been really good. This is just some down-home cooking stuff right here. This is probably something that you would find in a Ukrainian grandma's kitchen, just waiting on the grandkids to come over. And if they weren't excited about having this, they're probably out of their mind, because this is just some good old-fashioned, like, home-cooked style food. This is excellent. I mean, just because we have them, let's get a bite of one of these crusty sumbitches. If you like things that are extraordinarily crunchy and stale, this is absolutely for you. I am going to use these as a vessel to soak up some of the fat in the bottom of this dish, because that's what you would definitely want to do if you were a soldier out in the field. You want to get all those calories because you're going to need them. But even having great teeth, you definitely have to be careful with these, because one wrong move and it's like chewing on a goddamn boulder. But sticking them in this fat in the bottom of this main is definitely the way to go. Look at that. Oh, it's ugly, but it tastes really good. That's some excellent, just yummy meal action going on right there. Pork, taters, mushrooms. I'm not a big fan of mushrooms. Like, I'm not a big fungus eater, but you can't even taste them in here. You don't even know they're there. And don't get me wrong, this isn't gourmet eating. It is more that, like, down-home kind of, like, country-style eating. It is really satisfying, though. I know I say this on a regular basis, but why can't we get a meal like this in a U.S. MRE, for God's sake? I mean, I don't know of too many U.S. MRE menus that I would open up, chuck in that flameless ration warmer, get it out of the bag, tuck into it, like, that's like some home-cooked food. You really only find that in foreign rations. I only say that because I don't want to step on my own dick by, like, having made a previous video where I was like, wow, that's amazing. I can't really remember any amazing US MRE menus. Like, off the top of my head, I can't remember any US MREs that I've ever been like, oh, that's absolutely amazing. That's just like mom or grandma made. Some of them are better than others, but all of them are relatively, well, processed and sugary and just kind of nasty. I'm not at all into the side items that came with this Ukrainian dinner ration. I mean, it kind of sucks in a way. Like, these crackers and that stale-ass bread are kind of, well, just a little rough. But this main is absolutely worth the rest of the experience. Let's flip that bread over and get some maximum fat saturation action going on. And that is definitely a way to do it. They shouldn't have given you that bread unless you had some kind of soup to go with it. That stuff's just way too hard to be a by itself snack unless you're just, like, absolutely starving. See if we can utilize all the carbohydrates we possibly can. Let's try to get one of these fat-soaked stale bread hunks on a bite of this potatoes, pork, and vegetables. That definitely needed a longer soak time. It's still very crusty in the middle. Ooh. And although this main is really good and really home-cooked, I do have to say it kind of has a unidimensional flavor. It's almost like everything being cooked together in the retort pouch. Every single item has the exact same flavor. Fortunately, that flavor is pretty damn good. The potatoes and the pork, the carrots, they all have the exact same flavor, which is okay. There's just not a lot of definition. You really don't taste the potatoes the way that you should, especially for as large of a piece of potato that you get in this main. You really don't taste them separately versus everything else. That's kind of okay, but it certainly makes the flavor a little bit boring and unidimensional, but that's all right. It's still pretty damn good. That bread is hurting. And that absolutely has an amazing fat content. That is going to keep you so full for so long. That is absolutely what US MREs need. If you wind up with some of these Ukrainian bread boulders in one of your rations, just make sure you go very easily on your twofers or you're going to break something. Those of you that are in love with me making a mess, well, here's your day. It bounced off my chin, into my beard, rolled down my shirt, and then boop, landed on my leg and just made a fucking mess. And sometimes when I'm sitting at this table, I feel like I'm in an episode of the Animaniacs. And if you don't know what the Animaniacs are, I don't know what rock you've been living under, but you need to go find that shit out. Let's check out this tea. Clear a bit of those boulders out of my mouth, wash down some of that most excellent fat content out of that main, get some of this black tea in ye old face hole. And that really is an excellent quality black tea. It's really yummy. Yes, I could put some honey in it, but I need something to try to help me consume these horrible bread products. That's a really good tea. I'm just not in the mood for it. Hot tea is not what I'm in the mood for. I know that kind of blows, but it is what it is. I can imagine that there are hot days in Ukraine. It's not like it's a winter wonderland over there, and every drink you consume ought to be or you're going to want hot. So I say again to Ukraine, give your guys some damn cold drink mixes. Keep them hydrated, for God's sake. Let's polish off this main, put it to bed once and for all. 3 meals, all Ukrainian National Guard. This has been one hell of a fun day. My first experience with Ukrainian National Guard rations, and I got to do it all day long. See if we can't utilize some of this plywood. I mean, this stale bread. It's kind of like chewing down a piece of like particle board. It's pretty rough. Let's get the last of this main up on some stale bread, croutons, plywood, whatever you want to call it. We'll get all of it on there, and you guys get to put your eyeballs on the last bite of that main. It's actually really yummy. The stale bread is actually kind of ruined this last bite, but that's all right. We're gonna get it anyway. In the face. Say goodbye, Mr. Potatoes, Pork, and Mushrooms. And this is a hell yes, that was a great main spoon drop. And fuck your bread products spoon drop, because they're kind of nasty. But hell yeah, that was an excellent main. That was uneventful. Now let's crack into this honey. We've already tasted these biscuits before. I guess we'll get a little bite, see how they're a little crunchy. That kind of bodes well for them. Let's chuck one in the face. That is just sad and depressing. They're a little bit crispy on the inside, but when you bite into these, it's almost like they're not wet, but it's almost like that consistency. As soon as you bite into it and you get past that outside crispy layer that makes them sound like they're crunchy, they just turn into mush. It's really odd. It's a really piss poor hardtack biscuit, in my opinion. Do not recommend. We're going to throw some honey on it and see if we can make these damn things palatable. I have a feeling the answer to that is probably no. Like, if you put enough honey on a turd, it's still not going to be edible. Ukrainian soldiers, especially with everything they're going through over there, definitely deserve better than that sorry-ass cracker. I mean, I guess you could take that a couple different ways. Maybe they deserve better than this sorry-ass cracker that's doing these reviews. I don't know. Who am I to say? Ukrainian guys know better than me what they deserve. I would think that every soldier that serves their country deserves better than that sorry-ass biscuit. But let's chuck some of this honey on there. And that is nice and crystallized. I kind of like that. That is crazy. It's almost like a really creamy-looking honey. That is good stuff. Let's check that out. That is a really good looking honey. I love when honey comes out that consistency. It's crazy. It's almost like, I don't know, honey flavored icing. It's great. I love that. Hopefully it'll tune up that biscuit. Let's get a little bit of this honey just right on the old finger and give that a taste. And that's excellent. That is definitely like a wildflower honey. Extremely sweet, but in a really good way. It actually is very granulated in this form, and it just kind of melts away in your mouth. It has this really, really pleasant honey flavor. It's excellent. I'm going to try it on this biscuit. Kind of sad, though, that I'm having this really great honey on this shabby-ass biscuit, but let's try it anyway. And that's an absolute shame. That biscuit is very mealy when it gets in your mouth, and it just melts, and it just sucks away the flavor of the honey. It really is depressing. This honey deserves way better than those sorry-ass biscuits. I guess we could try it on some really stale bread. I imagine the bread will do a little bit better. It'll be like a extremely overly crunchy, maybe honey flavored. I don't know. Maybe I'm just making some shit up. It's going to taste like stale bread with really good honey on it, but we're going to give it hell. You know, they really should have given you a pack of honey with every meal, because this stale ass bread and the honey definitely go well together. The honey flavor stays very prevalent when you're doing that, which makes it way more enjoyable. Just got to be careful with your teeth. Other than that, the stale bread is definitely the way to go with the honey. Well, guys, that was dinner. This has been a really fun experience. I'm going to finish off the last of this honey on some stale ass bread, and believe it or not, because I want to say that I did it, I'm actually going to sit here and finish the rest of this stale bread, and I'm even going to eat those 3 sorry-ass hardtack crackers just because I want to be able to say that I finished 3 Ukrainian rations in one day. Why? Hell if I know. I'm just weird like that, but it is part of the hobby, and sometimes it's just like a cultural experience. Can I eat all 3 of these rations, including those sorry-ass crackers? Yes. Am I going to love myself for it? Actually, yeah. I'm going to have a good time with it. Even though these suck, it's going to make me giggle. I'm going to clean my plate. After I'm done cleaning my plate, we'll come back for the wrap-up. Oh, those crackers are just nasty. So thank you guys for joining me here on Ration Nerd, where today we dove into 3 Ukrainian National Guard rations. We got some breakfast, we got some lunch, we got some dinner. We did not, however, get to do field exercises, unless you consider yard work field exercises. We certainly didn't tow any busted-ass tanks, and I didn't get to shoot a rocket launcher, which I'm actually really bummed about. But this was a great time, and I want to thank you guys for coming along with me for the ride. This was a shit ton of fun, and I'm really glad you were here for it. Don't forget, support your local Ration Nerd by hitting that like button, hitting that subscribe button, and talking to me in the chat. It is always a great time to hear from you guys. If you really want to support your local ration nerd, and that would be me, in case you were wondering, you could join me on Patreon. And if you join me on Patreon, you will get automatically enrolled to win this Naraga Plus ration. This is going to be good. It has a lot of strange flavors in it that you're not accustomed to, and for your vitamin-deprived body's pleasure, it has glutathione and zinc gluconate in there, so that way you can be all vitamined up when you eat this ration and get some, well, crazy taste out of these mains and some bitchin' cheese cookies. Good luck with that. But you guys know how this shit goes. If you can find something cooler than these 3 Ukrainian National Guard rations to put in your face hole, you absolutely know what to do, and at least by now, I would hope you know, but if you're new, I'm gonna tell you. Whatever. Eat 'em up.
Man, this motherfucker got some issues. He don't understand how full I am. Like, I am so full right now. I feel like I could throw the fuck up. And this guy be like, man, we gonna eat again. Then he gonna drag me out in the heat, cause I'm in here with this motherfucker. He like, come on, man. Let's go back out in the yard. You done ate like 17 pounds of food. Let's go out in the yard where your guts are all like, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, right, whatever, motherfucker. Like, we gonna go do lawn work. We gonna move wood and be cutting down sticker bushes and shit. Man, this ain't time to do that shit. You just done ate too much food to be doing that. And then you out there and all of a sudden your asshole pucker and it's time to take that big liquid dookie. And I told you so. I said, man, you should have stayed your ass in the air conditioning and then you wouldn't have had the shits. But you done went and did it. You went out in the heat with a belly full of food, and guess what? Your asshole went into full revolution. It was like 1776 up in that motherfucker. You sat down on the toilet and it was like a motherfucking explosion. Somebody wrote the Poop Spangled Banner in that bitch. The whole time you was there rocking the Thunder Mug, asshole chugging. You was just like, yeah, I'm eating Ukrainian rations all day. And I'm like, bitch, no, how about let's not? I want to take a nap. Fuck that yard work and eating 17,000 calories worth of bullshit from over in Ukraine. Ain't nobody got no damn time for that. You guys know what I'm talking about. I know you the only sane ones, because usually sane people like to watch crazy stupid people do crazy stupid shit. Man, why you guys, is it maybe you just hear from me? That's what it is. You just stick around to the end of the video, because you be liking the Sling ration, because I'm super sexy on the inside. You just don't understand. I'm like a motherfucking love machine.